Welcome back to the School of Imperfection. I'm your host, Mikie Krisztal, and today we're talking with Sara of Swil Arts. Sara is one of those stories that sounds very clean and romantic. You know, like the artist who left her corporate job and chased her dream. And it is romantic, and it is working out well, which is the nice news. But the thing that I like about this conversation with Sara is not only that she's a talented artist and a nice and good person, is that she gets real about that journey of growing up somewhere, moving across the world, getting the corporate job. And I think like a lot of artists, finding out that that corporate job doesn't quite fill the soul and taking that big fat leap to chase your dream. For Sara, that was the dream of being an artist and a talented artist she is. So she left her job at Google, moved to Southeast Asia with her partner, and focused on her art. Probably not stressful at all. Except, of course, you know, that's not really how it goes. And me and Sara talk honestly about the weird middle space between leaving the secure, stable corporate job, albeit potentially soul-sucking, depending on your situation, and starting an art business and the spiritual journey that is being an entrepreneur, let alone being an artist and entrepreneur. And, you know, Sara has this sort of calm Southern California presence to her and her art, and she creates really beautiful things. And some of the stuff we talk about is something I keep coming back to on this show, which is the sort of healing and growth journey, and that maybe it's not so much about the quick fix or changing your circumstances overnight, but those sort of small wins and letting those pile up and learning and continuing to grow. Today we get into art, career pivots, spiritual rabbit holes, nervous system friendly risk-taking, nuance, sustainability, and the messy reality of building a creative life without pretending it's all rainbows and unicorns. This is Sara of Swil Arts. Sara, welcome, and thank you for joining.
Hi, Mikie.
Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited. Good to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Let's talk about, we met at the little art show that you were in the show as well, right?
No, I was not. My friend was Ana Maria Herrera, whom I met through the Artist Incubator. So I was seeing her art and supporting her. I was not in the show. You were though.
I was there. Yeah, it was good. We had fun on my little community painting thing, which
it was amazing.
It's really fun. And I was happy with the way it turned out. I felt bad because we had some cool like people add to it. And then I finished it off and I was like, oh, I'm like totally covering that, which is fine.
Came out the way it was supposed to come.
Yeah. But you had a cool journey, and that's why we are here now. And you do your own art that, like, to me, when I look at it, is like taking a Xanax. It's like child again, you know? Tell me.
That means a lot.
It's true. Why don't you, give me your story. Give everyone your story.
Yeah, my story was a little bit winded. I suppose everyone's story is life is winded. Yeah, but I started. I think I was always creative as a child, but I don't think it was necessarily super encouraged as a career. It was more like, it's a nice sideway hobby. But I think I grew up in communist Poland. So I don't know if it had anything to do actually, but like the society, I don't think it really valued creative professions. It didn't really see it as like a valid career path, if you wish. So I never thought of it as, pursuing it as any type of career. And I was into web design, and I thought that in order to do web design, I had to study computer science. Little did I know. So I went to study computer science. I did my master's in computer science, and then I worked as a software engineer, first at an investment bank in London and then at Google. And I was at Google for more than 7 years. And towards the end of my tenure at Google, I started feeling just disconnected. Like everything was good on paper. It's not like there were any like major issues. Like my projects are okay. My team was good. The people I worked with were really good and supportive, and Google provided a lot of benefits. So it was a good, back then, secure job. But I just started really feeling like some kind of misalignment, some kind of like, what I do daily is not really fulfilling my soul, if you wish. And I try to I try to address it in various different ways. So I went part-time. And then in the days that I had off, I started teaching yoga. I started guiding sound healing journeys. I searched for different projects within Google. So I got engaged in some diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives to see if that would kind of balance my daily job and a bunch of other stuff. But ultimately, I came to the conclusion that okay, I want something different. The thing is that I didn't know what is this different thing, right? So I felt like, okay, in order to quit, I kind of need to know what's next. How can I quit my secure job and having no idea what else can I do for a living? And I had a few ideas, but nothing was really screaming yes, this is the next thing. And that also kept me quite stuck for a while at Google. Before quitting, I felt like it's a prerequisite to have it all line up. What's your next step?
Yeah.
Until I think I got to a point where I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know and I'm not going to know. And how about I just cold quit without knowing what's next? And how about I take a year off and don't worry about work and what's next? And I go to a place where the cost of living is cheaper and I just open up a space for whatever it might be, for just making space really without much expectation. So that's what we did. Me and my partner, whom we met at the art show, Valentina, we went for a 1-year travel, mainly to Southeast Asia. And this is actually where my journey started as an artist. Although, again, when I first picked a set of watercolors living on a small island in Koh Tao in Thailand, I had no idea that it will lead to anything bigger. I was trying the different things just for the pure joy of it and really trying my best to detach from any outcome or from any expectation or is this it? Just treat everything that I was doing with pure curiosity and just playfulness. So I started painting and drawing, painting with watercolors, and I would just sketch what I was seeing around me. So it was, this island was very much like a diving island. A lot of visitors were coming there for diving. So I would sketch scuba diving gear that was lying next to me on the beach, or I would sketch palm trees that I saw from our place, or I would sketch fish and coral that I saw when I was snorkeling. And I started sharing with some close friends what I sketched. And people started expressing interest. They were like, oh, it really reminds me of, it really connects me to that moment. Or, oh, what a beautiful souvenir from my vacation. I spent this beautiful 2 weeks here. And this is like a postcard, very personal, postcard from that time in my life. And they would ask me, can I actually buy this piece of you? And I was like, oh, that never, I didn't think of it when I was creating, but it kind of opened up something. And so people started buying them as gifts, as souvenirs, as memories, and asking me also for custom pieces if they wanted something special, something personalized. So very organically, without much of a solid idea or a business plan or whatever, I just kind of opened up to this path of how about I try to do that for a living right now? And it organically grew from there. There were definitely different stages of this journey. I had to learn everything. From the actual craft of drawing and painting, I am completely self-taught and I'm still learning very actively, to everything that goes into running an art business or any business in general. And there is so much. I think I didn't realize, working all the time for someone else all my life for, in the corporate world, I think I didn't realize how much goes into being any kind of entrepreneur, artpreneur, solopreneur, you name it.
Yeah.
There are just so many things you need to learn, right? How to make yourself visible, how to speak about what's important to you, how to establish some partnerships, how to book everything. So about a year ago, I officially started Swil Arts, my art studio, about a year and a half ago. Since then, I've been doing quite a lot of commissions, some of them for brands. I did this very nice project for La Valencia Hotel in La Jolla. where I painted their holiday ornaments, which was very, very, very beautiful and meaningful project for me. And I also started moving towards creating more of my own art. And my pieces are very much rooted in the culture of Southern California. So I paint these snapshots of little moments, little lives, small pleasures, all grounded in the ease and calm of Southern California. These days, I actually started also turning them into keepsakes. So I started not only selling my originals, but also turning them into greeting cards or prints. I'm working on a coloring book so that there are different access points for my artwork. And about a year ago, my spouse Valentina joined me in my business in Swil Arts, helping me to actually run the business and try to make a little bit more space for my creative practice, which I'm very grateful for. Recently, I was accepted into an artist incubator run by the city of San Diego, which was an 8-week program helping local artists to build more capacity in their art businesses. So it was exceptional. It was really, really great. And I met amazing people. And I think this maybe was one of the most invaluable pieces of the program that I started to really get more connected to the artist community in San Diego. Because I was traveling so long, what was supposed to be a 1-year travel actually extended into 2.5 years of traveling for different reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
Second?
I said that's twice as long or more by my math.
Yeah. For different reasons again. But yeah, we officially came back to San Diego only around May this year. So a lot of the time that I spent was either abroad or just in different states. And I felt somewhat isolated. I mean, I have beautiful community of friends and beautiful relationship with my partner. But in terms of my artistic practice, I didn't really feel connected to any community. So meeting all these amazing folks recently from the program, it was really, really beautiful. I'm very grateful.
That's amazing. How did you even find out about that program?
In one of the social media channels, probably because it was co-run by the city of San Diego and the Cultural Affairs. And either some newsletter or it was just somewhere on the social media. I think actually, it was actually my partner who pointed it out to me, who found it and showed it to me and sparked a lot of interest.
So is Swil Arts, and am I saying that right? Swil Arts?
Yes, you are saying it right. And it's actually a fun fact, Swil, SWIL. Not many people realize, but it's a combination of my first and last name. But because I'm Polish and my last name, it's Wilczynska. No one knows how to pronounce it. It has so many consonants together that people are like, what?
Yeah.
So when I joined Google, what I picked as my username was very simple, was SWIL, Swil. And it kind of stuck and people started calling me Swil. So when I started my art studio, the first thing that I thought, okay, people won't be able to pronounce my last name.
Right.
Let's just go with Swil.
Yeah, that's cool. So is Swil Arts, is that now your main source of income? Did you do it? You left Google and now you're making art and it's working. Would you say?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So yes, in a very aspirational sense. So yes, we are fully committed, and me and Valentina, we are working on it full time. And energetically and emotionally and time-wise, we are super committed. Yes, this is our main source of supporting our lives. Yeah. However, in terms of actual finances, not yet. I'm very intentional about my words that I use. Not yet, universe. Not yet. Very soon. But no, it's not fully supporting. Fully generating enough income for us to completely live off it yet. We were lucky to have had some savings. Part of the reason why we were traveling for so long was to actually save money and be able to start working on Swil Arts while really reducing the living expenses so that it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And right now it was a big leap of faith because we came back to San Diego, which, as you know, is not the cheapest city to live.
The most expensive, I think, actually. It's in top 3, as it turns out. Yeah. So that's great.
Yeah. And initially, when we came back, we had this idea of doing side gigs and doing this and that, and we had a lot of ideas, but it was really like spreading ourselves thin, and energetically it felt like we're kind of everywhere and nowhere. And after a couple of months, we decided that this is not sustainable, and we really wanted to just commit energetically that, okay, it's Swil Arts and it's going to work. So ask me in a couple of months, and I'm sure I will tell you, heck yeah, like by now, you
did it.
It's
and I realize that's a personal question, so sorry, but also
it's okay.
I think it's good to talk about, because there's always this romantic dream that people tell you the story in hindsight when it's like, I was miserable and I quit, and then I went abroad, and then I started my multi-billion-dollar company, and it happened like just like that, as easy as 1, 2, 3. And I like talking about the messy reality of like, you're chasing your passion and it is hard, and you're making sacrifices, and you're committed also, and also it is working too,
Absolutely. And I think I was like, as probably many people, like I fell into this trap of like, oh, if only I followed this one magical blueprint, suddenly like the success is just around the corner. And I even had this similar experience with like some healing modalities, nothing to do with work, but I would, like listen to some coaches offering their transformational program that if only you complete their program, suddenly, you'll be completely healed from whatever you came to heal to this planet, and, happy forever after. And that's usually not the case. Yeah, they all move the needle, right? Like, and especially good ones, maybe not all, but even like the good ones, yes, but it's all cumulative, and it's never linear, and it's a little bit here and a little bit there, and one step here and 2 steps back. And I think we live in a culture that promises or wants to sell you this quick transformation, this quick success, Everything on social media shows you mainly like the end effect, the end result, without everything that goes into that. And so even on my art journey, the moment I started Instagram to start sharing my work, obviously, the algorithm targets you as like, oh, you might want to buy this course and this ebook and this and this transformation book. And every teacher promises you that if you only buy this $2,000 transformational program, you're good, right? Like, you're good. And not that I've done like a bunch of them or anything, but the programs I did, they all teach me something, and I'm grateful for all of the programs. And it's never like, okay, someone is going to give you a magic formula, a blueprint that works for everyone. And, so I definitely want to stay away from romanticizing that journey as like, oh yeah, and I quit my corporate job and just started my creative business, and then life was amazing and all rainbows and unicorns, because it's not. It's
work, but at least it's fulfilling work this time,
Exactly. And I, even in the moments of the most stress, like recently I'm dealing with quite a lot of overwhelm, and even in the moments of the most stress, I ask myself, am I happier now, or was I happier at my corporate job as a software engineer? And the answer is always like, no, I'm happier now, which ultimately is like, it's my compass, right?
Totally.
Okay, then it's worth it.
It's interesting. And maybe this is anyone who's sort of done that. I can't take it anymore. I need to hop off, do the spiritual thing, and then, ending up into art. But we had a similar path where I did the same thing, where I think I tried every spiritual modality, sound healing, astrology, human design, all of them. And they're all good in their own way. And I think it is that attitude of like, okay, this time when I finish this one, I'll be fixed, And I think now for me, it's not even a red flag. It's just something to be aware of. It's that whatever you're selling me, if you're claiming at the end, then I'm going to be happily ever after, you're full of shit, unfortunately. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, sell me moving the needle. And and then I think when I shifted that perspective from I need to be healed to cool, I can learn another thing that is like a really useful, whatever, art technique, modality, business strategy, instead of these things that are promising like a quick whatever. So
100%. And I think, unfortunately, but a lot of marketing these days is kind of built on those big, grandiose experiences and shifts and transformations, right? because like I struggle a little bit with this typical classical marketing, which is like so based on the pain point and like your solution that solves the pain. And I'm like, what if there is no pain, right?
Yeah.
Like what if I don't want to rub salt into the pain, So like reminding people, remember this pain. Like, okay, if only you pay me X, Y, and Z, like I will solve your problem. What I find is like typical marketing strategies are that. So fortunately in our artist incubator, the focus was different, but I was really asking myself like, what do I want to bring to people, right? That is not promising this like huge transformation and these big words. And I actually very consciously and intentionally landed on words that feel like very humble to me and small. And like I focus on life's small moments and just pausing enough in order to notice them because they are all around. Like we don't need more. Also, the word always tells us like more of things, more of experiences, more of trainings, more of transformation, more of healing, more. And like there is so much value in just stopping and realizing what's already here.
Right.
And finding this joy and gratitude and sufficiency of like what's already here. And like every day, there are so many beautiful things in everyday simple moments, right? So I realized that, actually, I don't want to promise people like huge transformations, if you wish, but just a little bit of joy. Just that, like connecting to your memory and feeling like, oh yeah, these moments was worth living. I really enjoyed it.
It feels like, do you ever get into Ram Dass, like be here now type stuff? Just be here now,
Nice. It's that his book is on my bookshelf
So good.
in a big pile of books. I'm like, one day.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, the ones like, because you do all the little things and certain ones where it's like, nope, this did not work for me. In fact, never again. This one sticks and I'm keeping this one. And that book, Be Here Now, for sure was one of those. What about like lessons learned for people who want to take the jump and quit their corporate job and focus on art full time? Like if you knew then what you know now, how would you have approached it? Would you do it exactly like you did it? Or what were the most valuable sort of lessons or hurdles you could skip?
I would certainly do it one way or the other. That's for sure. I sometimes, and maybe this is actually my fear talking, but sometimes I feel like, maybe I've done it in a too abrupt way, in the sense of like, I quit. I rejected my paycheck and the security and the stability and, the financial stability, right? And I just dove right in. And that creates a lot of pressure on the business because the savings can only last so long, because I don't want to be choosing projects based on how they pay. And also I'm very aware of the financial circumstances and like wanting Swil Arts to support our lives and to be the source of income. So sometimes I feel like, maybe the kind of like a safer way for your nervous system and maybe more sustainable way is to like do it gradually. I tried to actually do it gradually, and my attempts to go part-time and try to find other, endeavors was an attempt. It's just that I didn't come across art. Maybe if I did, it would be different. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe I needed this kind of jump in order to know that, okay, this is it. And now, like my whole time is dedicated to this. But sometimes in moments of like, stress or doubt or fear, I feel like, maybe there is the sacred third. It's not either or, it's not the two extremes. Either you just stay forever in your corporate job or you just jump without knowing and dive into the deep end. Maybe there's this sacred third of like, okay, how can I transition more smoothly? Maybe for some people, maybe not for everyone. Right. Maybe that wasn't my path. But that's what I'm thinking sometimes. What really worked for me in terms of the lesson learned was not rushing the process of figuring out what is the new thing. The whole year when we traveled, it was really just creating spaciousness, and it was really trying things without, again, much expectations or even like evaluation or assessment. Is this the next thing? Is this not the next thing? But just saying, okay, do I enjoy it? Don't I enjoy it? And I think that helped me a lot, because that kind of like, and I do trust in the universe. So I do trust that there is a path that it is for us. But I felt like I was guided on this path without much forcing and, just like pushing and grind and hustle, but more with just like ease and openness. And the other thing that was very helpful for me was that really questioning a lot of things, really questioning a lot of scripts, a lot of societal scripts, a lot of things that we inherit and maybe never really question. All those default paths, all those default assumptions like, okay, this is how a career looks like. Okay, this is what success looks like. This is what family looks like. This is what, all these things, right? And just constantly asking, is this mine or is this someone else? Because I feel like very often, unconsciously, but we do operate on someone else's script, which doesn't always serve us and doesn't always fully tell our story and our truth. So I think, constantly like asking myself, is this mine or is this not mine? What's the purpose? Who benefits from me believing that thing?
Yeah. I've been doing that too. And I think it just takes a lot of work to start to unpack your own shit to like even be able to ask those questions, to become aware of them. And I've started, a good little trick I've been using is, if I'm unsure, because I'll just have, you have like 10 scenarios in your mind of like, should I do that thing? Should I not do it? Should I release it? Should I change? And I'll just ask myself, what does fear want me to do? Because fear's always got like a really strong position on the subject. You know what I mean? And then you can kind of find, it's like, well, fear wants me to definitely not launch it. And so I know now that's my motivation for not doing it specifically. And so all the other stuff can get a little more clear.
Yeah, which is hard, right? Because like what I'm finding is that how to really differentiate, there's like this very fine line between like, okay, what is fear and what is my protective mechanisms, right? Like what wants to keep me small and safe because this is like familiar and it's like feels safe for the nervous system, versus what is a good zone of growth and like being out of comfort zone in order to grow into, your next iteration, versus what is not really listening to your truth or pushing too hard. And I'll give you an example. I was always an introvert, but for many, many years, I kind of shoved it down and like tried to be an extrovert because this is what I saw as success, in the culture, in the society. And only very recently, I started respecting more and more that it's okay to be more on the introverted side, right? But a lot of my actions and efforts in life were like, okay, yeah, you don't feel good in this scenario or in this situation or in this setup, doesn't matter, push through, this is good for you, like without question. So what I find hard is like, yes, where is it fear that is kind of keeping me small, and where it would be good with small doable pieces to kind of start to like a little bit get out of this shell, versus where is it actually, no, like this is me, and in this moment, like this is my truth and I'm going to honor that.
Totally. Have you ever gotten into parts work at all?
A little bit. Yes, a little bit. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of therapy and coaching in my life. So different coaches use different modalities. And I did a little bit of like inner child and parts work and family constellations, which are kind of all like not necessarily related, but yeah.
We should compare notes on all of our different self-help spirituality journeys. Maybe we've covered them all collectively.
Yeah.
But I found internal family systems to be the most helpful, I would say, of most of the stuff that I've done, because I think I've got a lot of parts. And it was always, until I started doing that work, I always felt conflicted. And now I still feel conflicted a lot, but I know why. And I'm like, oh, because there's one part that wants that thing, another part that wants something different, and their motivations are different. And I can speak to those parts, kind of.
Yes. And I have to tell you, Mikie, that this is something that I feel like I'm learning recently a lot, that like what helps me is this like how everything is complex and nuanced and not only black and white and either or, but how if you wish like there are even like many truths, or like everyone has their own truth. And so for me, it also used to be like, oh, like I felt I saw everything very binary and black and white and like extreme. And only now I learned to soften and hold two things which seem like a paradox. For example, different parts, right? Oh, like there is this part who is very hurt by X person, and then there is this part who actually loves X person, and like it feels like I have to choose. I cannot be both.
Right.
And to learn to actually be okay and show compassion and validate both parts, because they both have a reason to be and have a role to play, and really listen to them both, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy, but I feel like this is where a lot of healing is.
Agreed. And I'm glad you said the word nuance, because I feel like that needs to be the term of like the future, because we're so much obviously in this like us versus them, right versus wrong, like my side, your side.
Cancel immediately. Don't even listen.
Right, like, you think something different than me? I hate you. Like, and it's like in all directions. So everyone thinks something a little bit different. And I don't know if they really do, or if the algorithm just makes us think that that's the case. Because I think when you just talk to people are generally fine, unless you start talking about politics. But like,
true. And also depends. We are all in a filter bubble, so depends who you're talking to and who are your circles,
totally
right? And maybe it's like feeding both ways, that like the algorithms kind of like pushes something more to the surface, but then if we are fed a lot of that, we also like start to behave like that. I don't know. But I have to tell you that last year I was going through a lot of like hard times and very complicated family dynamics. And I started joking to my therapist that like fucking nuance is the theme of my year. Fucking nuance. Everything's like fucking nuance. Like nothing is really that simple. And as much as I wanted to just say, oh, this person is an asshole, like nuance, it's much more complex than that.
It's just, it just is, And is that we're just growing up? Or is that the world is evolving because it's become such a toxic shit show? People are kind of waking up and they're like, wait a minute, like it's so in your face. You either are just in it or you kind of start to see like, wait a minute, I think we got to figure out some nuance here,
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. And I don't know. Do you have an answer? Because I don't.
I don't know, because I do get a sense sometimes that there's a lot of people waking up to this idea of nuance. And then I also get a lot of sense from people who are still just outraged at everything all the time.
And again, maybe it's not either or, but both.
Right. And there's plenty to be outraged about. I get it. But like, how do we make positive change? And I don't think screaming at each other is doing the trick.
Yes. And what is in our control? That's another big thing, right? And what is ours versus what is someone else's, and like, what are the boundaries? Because like, I think there is a lot of like, oh, you should change and you should, and there should be more focus. And like, okay, like the only thing I can control is myself. Right?
Yeah. Right. Just be cool.
I can influence, but control, really, forget it.
But I think you just put out good stuff like you're doing, and ideally good things come. It's like you that's another, I think, big takeaway of all the spiritual stuff is that for me, I think what I've realized is everything's just a mirror of what you are. Like you're going to see what you are, like your shadow and your real shit and your conscious and your subconscious, and like the things that are coming your way is a reflection of the things that you call it vibration or whatever. But it seems like that's the case.
Yes. And I think it starts to be more and more proven from the neuroscience perspective.
Yeah, right.
How this reticular activation system in our brain is just like really focusing on certain stuff that just confirms our existing beliefs. It's not trained to like pick up on the data that is busting our current beliefs. It's going to ignore it. It's going to actually only focus on the things that are already confirming your beliefs, because that's safer. That takes less energy to, you don't have to like rewire all those neural networks and whatnot. So it's even, from like neuroscience point of view, it's fascinating that, we create this reality. What can I say? We see what we believe.
But then per your point earlier, like a lot of that is scripted. You were born with it. You're given to it. It was given to you. It's like, here's what you're going to believe in until you figure out that you don't actually believe in that. Then your reality starts to change. Maybe once you start to realize that you're running on a program that you didn't necessarily for.
100%.
Okay, did we get too deep? Are we going down a rabbit hole? Did I do this?
Not for me. I'm happy to continue and go deeper. I find it very inspirational and like makes you think in a good way.
Good. Well, did we talk about everything? I want to promote your business. Like what's next? How can people find you and connect with you? And what's the dream? Is it your own art gallery? Is it in the, San Diego Museum of Art? Like, where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I think I realized pretty early on that I don't want to follow the very traditional artist path in terms of like fine art, which is, being maybe represented by a gallery, maybe even having an agent, participating in juried shows and selling original pieces. For some reason, I felt that this path is not for me. I want to create art that is very approachable, that is very, your everyday life, your everyday moments, and that everyone has access to. So from the very early on, I didn't only focus on creating and selling originals, which take more time, more materials, therefore they have to have a certain price point. But I also started turning them into products that people can just surround themselves with, right? Whether stationery or art prints or greeting cards. And I also really love working with brands. So doing either branding or packaging or merchandising. So really like capturing the soul of the brand and putting it on paper with watercolors. And I've done a bunch of these kind of collaborations, and they always really light up something in me because I see how it really enhances the brand's experience and how they present themselves to the customer and in general like what they offer. So I'm very open to more brand collaborations, and I'm constantly working on new products. So this fall we're planning to launch a new coloring book that is going to have my unique designs inspired by our Southern California region. And specifically, this edition will be very grounded in San Diego. So it will have little mindfulness prompts in order to like help you drop deeper in your body and have like this moment when you're coloring to really connect to your senses and pause and reflect. I have with me a couple of my prints, which I print in different sizes. And they are all inspired by iconic landmark places in Southern California or just fleeting moments that are worth remembering. This one I titled Endless Summer Van, and it's inspired by the shore in Encinitas and the calm and ease and adventure and joy and nostalgia of the surfing culture.
You totally captured that.
This one is the Guardian of the Shore. So it's a very iconic, historic lifeguard stand, 5C in Coronado, one of the oldest lifeguards on this shore, which holds so much memory and so much cultural significance.
Cool.
On the beach of the Coronado, I also have Hotel Del. Its timeless charm. It still speaks. It's more than 100 years old, and it's like a very signature place of Coronado.
It's great for ice skating in the winter too. Can I ask you a question about your process?
Yeah, please.
So do you do watercolor and then ink on top of it, or then is that painting those thin lines too, the black parts?
So I start with ink and then I apply watercolor. So I tried both ways. Yeah. And to be honest, I kind of like the effect of applying first watercolor washes and then ink because it tends to be more loose, more sketchy. Also, then the ink is actually usually quite black and opaque, but I think that could be toned down. However, I don't enjoy the process. I realized that for some reason, doing ink first and watercolor washes later, it just works better with my nature. Fair. I have no idea why. I don't know what's that, but I was like, okay, it's at the end, it's not about the end effect that much. For me, it's still more about the journey and the process. So I'm just going to enjoy my
Totally. Process. Follow your heart. Whatever feels good.
So this one is inspired by the vibe of South Park, the Golden Hill.
Totally.
And there's this lovely retro coffee van there, which just for me, like shows the charm of the neighborhood and just, the community. And whether it's writers or entrepreneurs or, parents on their early morning walk, grabbing a coffee, it's this like communal feeling. And maybe the last one I'm going to show you from this collection is inspired by the lighthouse in Oceanside.
Okay.
I see it as this sentinel, this beacon of stability and just something that is always there and it's grounded and it calls you home and you can count on it.
Totally. Have you done a children's book?
No.
Have you thought about it? Because there's such in your art, it's just calming and I feel like You could
Hmm.
put a little bear, like, I don't know, Paddington or whatever, like just easily like could be a main character walking through all the work here.
Yeah, I think I would love that. I think I perceived it, and maybe it's a projection, maybe it's a limiting belief, but I perceived it as a market that is pretty hard to get into.
Probably.
Yeah, I feel like I know one artist who does children book illustrations, and it feels like it's better to have an agent. Pitching is, and at the end, what market is not hard, right? So it's all about like what do you choose? But yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah.
So last but not least, I wanted to show that I also turn these artworks into note cards and greeting cards. And this is a box of 6 cards with different designs. And everything that I do with the care for the planet and people. So I make sure that the paper is sourced from responsibly managed forest, that the packaging is biodegradable. I ship everything carbon neutral. I use painting supplies that are kind to the planet and to animals. I also donate 5% of all my sales to 3 charities that are aligned with my values, so that, the aesthetics and the beauty of what I create is actually also matched with integrity of how it's made and how it lasts and how to, be a good steward of this beautiful planet and all that we were given.
Yeah. Amazing. That's all you can do,
Yeah, just be a steward. It never belonged to us.
Right.
We were never owners, as much as some groups want us to believe that we own land and we own this and we own that. Well, no, we are just stewards.
No, we grew out of it. Like, that's something that I think about a lot. Like, we were birthed from this thing, but for some reason, I think it's common to think of us as we were teleported here on top of it. And it's like, no, we are of it.
And this whole idea that we are also isolated, that we can just extract, and take, and, it's not going to impact us, right? And it's like, well, we are all one big ecosystem, right? And at the end, we are hurting ourselves. We just somehow don't see it yet.
How do you think we can get that point across to people who don't give a shit? Or do you think it can't be done?
I'm very much in the period of my life when I don't direct my energy into
walls,
trying to change other people, but really focus on what can I do, what is in my control, what I have agency for, where is my choice, and really live in a way. And this is also like why every business decision is also guided by these values, and why, even though it's extremely annoying, but we recycle plastic bags and plastic films and sleeves, even though we have to like go somewhere to drop it off because no one takes plastic bag recycling. And we don't, we buy in container-free stores and so on. And is it sometimes annoying and more effort and hassle? Yes. But is this something we can do? Yes. Right. So I'm not a good person to ask, because for me, it's like just living by example, just doing my small bit.
Yeah.
These days, I'm not that much of like a organizer, activist, like how to reach more people. And I'm very grateful for people who are, and truly from the bottom of my heart, for those of us who do that and do that well and have that capacity. Thank you. And I know that my role in this moment is different, and it's just hopefully inspiring and just like making those small choices in everything that I do.
Yeah. I think wonderfully said, I really appreciate you, Sara. You're a good person.
Oh, likewise, Mikey. It's very mutual feeling. I'm very glad we met at this art show, and I hope we're going to stay in touch.
I hope so too.
People can find me, first of all, online on my website, swilarts.com. And I also offer free digital wallpapers with my art on it. So if people go to swilarts.com, that's swilarts.com/wallpapers, they can get my free wallpapers. And I'm also on all traditional social media channels. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Buy Me a Coffee, you name it, LinkedIn. It's quite easy to search for me at Google. Swil Arts usually brings all of these pages. And last but not least, my products are also available in selected boutiques and concept stores across Southern California.
Cool. What's one? Is there one that is around that is easy to find in San Diego?
Yeah, one of them is called Vervor, and it's in Ocean Beach.
Okay.
Vervor.
Cool.
The other one is a very cute chain of vegan chocolate shops that is called Nibble Chocolate. And they have beautiful coffee shops in Little Italy, Pacific Beach, and Old Town. And my prints are available there.
That's perfect. Well, thank you, Sara. This has been really relaxing and fun. So I hope you had a good time.
For me as well.
Good.
Thank you, Mikie.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the School of Imperfection podcast. If you are interested in exploring these ideas and more with us, don't forget to follow and subscribe to catch every future episode. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave us a rating or send us an email to share your thoughts through www.theschoolofimperfection.com. We're always looking for more guests as well. So if you feel like you have an interesting perspective or a topic our podcast has not covered or has, we'd love to connect with you. I'm your host, Mikie Krisztal. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.